I saw you live. We were talking before with the Aristocrats at the Baked Potato in Los Angeles in 2011. That was pretty amazing. One of my questions is, I was attending a Musicians Institute summer course at the time,
okay.
and I asked a lady there who was telling us about music business, why so many great musicians go to the Baked Potato to play live, and how many people in the audience, maybe 30 people there at the audience, and the musicians there are not making too much money for that session specifically. Why you musicians go there to play the best musicians in the universe we see at the Baked Potato, right?
Yeah, no, I love that place. On a less famous scale, there's a place in my hometown, Chelmsford, called The Basement, and I played there every Thursday night for 13 years.
Really?
And I think I understand why people go to the Baked Potato. If you're a professional musician, you spend all week taking orders and trying to play to keep the producer happy or to keep the pop star happy. And then if you have this little outlet where you can go, this dingy little club that's the size of a dressing room at a pop star gig, you can play whatever you want, and it's like, it's good for your spirit.
You can be yourself.
Exactly. It's therapy night.
Alright, oh, that's good.
I mean, look at guys like Vinnie Colaiuta and Mike Landau. They do enough gigs.
Yeah.
They don't need a gig in the Baked Potato.
Yes.
They do it because it's good for the soul. And long may it continue.
Okay, that's great. Great to hear.
Can I add this? The Baked Potato is a terrifying place to play because everyone in the audience pretty much is part of the LA session mafia.
He's a musician.
Yeah.
High skill.
Yeah, if I break a string, half the people in the audience could get up with their guitar and just carry on.
I don't believe so, but that's fine. Most of the audience is probably musicians, right?
Yeah, I guess it's their night off. They go there to have a beer and relax. Yeah. Let somebody else do the hard work for a change.
Yeah, that's fine. And you played in several bands, and you also have a career as a guitar professor. And isn't it interesting that the YouTube is what kind of made you famous? Did you plan it to be that way, or
Not
it just happened?
No, to this day, I have not posted a single video of myself on YouTube. It's all been posted by other people.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, most of it has been posted without my permission. Most of it I don't want to be on YouTube.
And what about those more intimate videos in which you're playing in a small room? I mean, with that corn for amplifier behind you?
The jam tracks videos. Yeah, those at least I authorised. That all started back when I made my solo album, Erotic Cakes, and the guy who mixed that album, who did a great job, is a guy called Jan Circa, who was a kind of instrumental guitar hero in the UK in the 90s. So around the time I was making that album, he was starting up this backing track company, and he asked me if I would be willing to play a few demo solos over his backing tracks just to help launch the company. Neither of us expected that many views. Strangely, it helped to launch the company and me.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about me having a career as a professor, but to be honest, as someone who's completely self-taught, I feel slightly awkward being a full-time teacher. That's never what I wanted to do. And I'm a lot happier if I can go out and just play music to people. So the YouTube phenomenon has helped me take a step in that direction.
Yeah. You are well known for being a guitarist that can navigate throughout many different styles, and you kind of dominate all the different techniques in guitar to a very high level. You can play everything and use most of the techniques that are available out there. Is there a particular music style you prefer to play?
Not really. Every style of music has something different to offer the player. I think I love the freedom of jazz fusion, things like that. I love the aggression of rock, and in a strange way, I love the robotic nature of dance music. I've done a few things where I'm playing in a live band, but we're playing house music, and there's machinery in the background, and just trying to see how well we can lock in with the groove of some robotic thing going on. But I think that is its own reward. You know, I love sometimes just playing a song that everybody knows. I remember playing with a guy called Dizzy Rascal, a rapper in the UK,
Yeah.
and we played this festival in front of 100,000 people. Every one of them knew the words, every one of them was jumping up and down, so that's fun. So, yeah,
No
it's just like
particular
different
preference.
tastes.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the best fruit? They're all enjoyable, they're all good for you.
Right.
I wouldn't like being forced to choose just one.
Right. Okay. And do you think a musician without the theory or the background and learning knowing how to read music, does it really limit musicians' expression, musicians' proficiency in the instrument?
Not necessarily. I would say any player could grow if they decided to learn theory and learn how to read music. But some players just have their vision of what they think a guitar should sound like, and they would find their path with or without music theory. I doubt if Eddie Van Halen is a great sight reader on the guitar, but it didn't stop him. I think Alan Holzer probably understands music theory, but in his own way. I think he invented his own version of music theory and then learned that. But then you get guys like Steve Vai, who are obviously very schooled and very disciplined. So I don't think there's any pattern. If anyone out there is wondering, should I take the time to learn about theory, I'd say yes, it can't do you any harm. It might really do your work good.
Right. Now, about the new record by the Aristocrats, Culture Clash, it's going to be released in July, right?
Yes.
Any chances of coming to Brazil for a tour?
I very much hope so. Everywhere I've been on this tour, somebody has come up to me and said, I hope you come back with the band.
Yeah.
And it's great that people have even heard of the band out here.
Yeah.
It would be a great place to play. Because the crowds have this energy. Even some of the clinics, I've had the energy coming from the crowd you'd expect at a rock gig.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
we can't wait. We just have to work out the logistics.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. And for a new solo record, are there any plans?
Not really. When I feel like making another solo record, I will. But I haven't set a deadline for myself. The only thing I really know is it has to be completely different to the first one. Mm-hmm. I don't see any point in making the first record again. Mm-hmm. Right. So when it's ready, it's ready. But right now, to be honest, I'm having so much fun with the Aristocrats, and like not being the rock star at the front, because all three of us are focal points, and I almost prefer that sometimes, to be part of a team.
Right, and now you don't feel the pressure or any need. It has to be natural, the will for producing another solo record. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as if the career I chose was, I want to be this guy who makes solo guitar albums. I just want to play music on my guitar. And maybe some of it would be a solo album, some of it would be Stephen Wilson or the Aristocrats. I just like to lead a varied musical life.
Okay, good. Do you know by any chance Brazilian music or Brazilian musicians? I know you play some songs of Brazilian music.
I have to say this. Everywhere I've been, every night at clinics, when I say, who has a question, somebody will say, how many Brazilian musicians do you know?
Oh.
It's a cool and unusual thing. People in Brazil are really proud of their women and their food and their music. And it kind of comes across more so than when I go back home. Nobody is that proud of anything.
Really? That's interesting. An interesting point of view.
It's cool. Brazilian music, people here have to understand, I think Brazilian music hasn't infected the whole world as aggressively as, say, American music has.
Yeah, right.
So you have to go out and look for it. It isn't thrust into your face. So, what do we know? Everyone, I think, knows about Chopin. Mm-hmm. Back home.
Yeah.
Other than that, who do I know? Hermeto Pascoal.
Right.
He's kind of crazy genius guy.
Yeah, yes.
Guitarist-wise, I'm aware of Tonino Horta, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, you are.
He's a beast. And in the more metal field, I know Kiko Loureiro. We did some workshops together in Slovenia, and he's a great guy.
Right. Yeah.
Also, a guy who doesn't just want to focus on one style. I think all the Angra fans probably think of Kiko as this metal god. I remember sitting backstage with him playing jazz standards at one time, and he's really good at that as well.
That's great to hear. Yeah.
I need to learn more about Brazilian music while I'm here.
Maybe this time, and when you come back next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully you come back. You have some nice books, a couple of books I know. There are Creative Guitars Volume 1 and 2, right? Are there any plans of releasing other?
Not really. Those books were originally intended to be one big book, and I think it would have made more sense as one big book. The idea was for any guitar player who's kind of stuck in a rut, as we say, or isn't sure what kind of stuff to learn next or what to work on next. That would be a source book, and there would be a few pages in there that would inspire someone and get their engine moving again. But I've got that out of my system. It feels good to have written a book or 2 books. I didn't know I could do that.
Good experience then.
But now that it's done, yeah, really I prefer to just focus more on being a guitar player, like recording and writing and gigging and all that stuff.
Right. More kind of musically related.
Yeah.
More playing music.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like I have something to say musically, and the most effective way to do that is just to play. Yeah. And lots of people can teach you the Dorian mode.
Right. Yeah. Nice put. Nicely put. And this is a kind of awkward question, but do you have guess? Guess I mean, you know, that gear acquisition syndrome.
Okay. Not really. I'm a little bit of a hippie in some ways. One of my goals in life at the moment is actually to have fewer material possessions. I think if you own too much stuff, it kind of weighs you down. And I like the idea that I could be free to move to another country. Something like I spend half of my life living out of a suitcase, so whatever I acquire stays in my house for half the year and I don't see it.
Right.
So, yeah, I enjoy nice guitars and nice amps and nice pedals, but in a practical sense, it makes more sense for me to have one instrument that does everything pretty well, than to have one amp that covers all the sounds pretty well.
I saw on YouTube, maybe, I saw recently a video in which shows a pedal board for the Steven Wilson's show.
Yeah.
It was a much bigger...
It weighs more than me.
I bet.
Yeah, but that wasn't a board that I put together for selfish reasons. That was purely a response to the needs of Steven's music.
Right.
It was quite a different gig for me. I actually need more patches for that than I needed for some of the more electronic gigs that I've done in the past.
Right.
So yeah, it's a big board full of sounds that Steven makes.
Right. Yeah, it's different from the number of pedals that I saw you using at the Baked Potato or here, which was about the same in quantity.
Well, this is the reality of my life when I'm doing the instrumental stuff. I have one guitar in a gig bag, and then I have one piece of luggage, which has to contain enough clothing for the tour, toothpaste and all this stuff, and it has to contain my pedals. So my pedal board has to be smaller than or equal to the size of the suitcase. And I've really tried to adapt to that reality.
Is the limitation, kind of.
With Stephen, Stephen's world is different because we have crew.
Right.
We might be living on a bus for 6 weeks, and all the gear lives in the trailer, and someone else is lifting it. So
right.
Then I can enjoy the luxury of having a bigger rig.
And you don't have any problems getting adapted to the situation then? Of reducing the number of...
No, because I think I spent so many years of my life not having any money to buy pedals or buy the amp I needed or anything like that. So a big part of the way I play is just trying to get lots of different sounds out of the gear you have, just by hitting the string differently and that kind of thing. Being aware of what the volume knob on the guitar does, all these kind of basic skills. I figured out some of that stuff a very long time ago. So that helps me to deal with a small, simple rig.
Right. Yeah. By the way, I love your new guitar with the bird's eye top.
It's a pretty thing, but not too pretty.
Do you think it's not too pretty? I love it.
It's pretty if you look close, but if you stand at the back of the room, it's a yellow guitar.
Not too noticeable.
Cool. Yeah.
Did you notice, or do you notice any tone difference because of the bird's eye on the top?
It's hard to say. The only scientific way to test that would be to build an identical guitar and put a flame maple instead of bird's eye. And even then you wouldn't know, because every piece of basswood is different. Every neck is different.
That is true.
Yeah, guitars are like fingerprints, aren't they?
Yeah. They all have their identities.
With one exception. Every Steinberger I've ever played is the same.
Oh, these are...
It's a really weird thing. Uncannily identical. I guess that's because there's not so much tree involved. If you're working with graphite, you can control more factors at the time.
Thank you very much for attending the interview and for being here. It's a pleasure and an honor for us.
It was nice to chat.
All right.
Thanks.